Go ahead and come back to your seat. If they were free Toys R Us, you'd reach, you'd step. I'm giving you the same kind of gift, just not wrapped up. Get the knowledge.
This is not Mr. Hesper.
No.
So you know.
It's not your teacher crush.
No.
Okay.
I had a crush on a teacher when I was 8.
Teacher crush?
Yeah. When I wrote her a level.
Did you really?
Oh, gosh, slide.
Bold, Josh, bold.
I'm a square field with an area of 169 square feet. What's the length of one of my sides, Julian?
Here's another great teacher cold call. This is Jesse Rector.
Excellent. I'm a square field with a perimeter of 48 feet. What's my area? Katrina.
Jesse's kids are all standing. When he asks them to stand, they know they're going to get cold called. Cold call is better when the students know it's coming. That way they're all doing every problem in their heads to be ready. And they're hard problems.
Excellent. I am a an isosceles triangle, with 2 angles that measure 3x each. What is the measure of my third angle? Anaya.
Why are they doing
Excellent. 180 degrees. The square root of 400 is what, Frank? No, the square root of 400 is not 100. Help me out. That's right, it's 20 times 1. Excellent. Let's see. I'm a regular pentagon with a perimeter of 30x minus 15. What's the length of one of my sides, Samira?
6x minus.
Excellent. Let's see what else.
The rigor is important here. Some people think cold call has to be simple questions, but these are 2-step problems, hard problems.
Give me 20%, then Caitlin.
Some people worry that their kids will be chastened if they cold call them, but that's clearly not the case. These kids are proud. They like being challenged.
Jasmine. That's right.
All right. So if you notice something there, we're bringing up these techniques in an English teaching course, right? So, but can we apply these to other types of teaching? Heck yeah. So there's science teachers in here, math teachers, and English teachers. And they all use these same kind of techniques because this is classroom management. This has nothing to do with grammar or vocabulary or linguistics, but in this case it's just about managing the activities in the classroom, right? So what you just saw there was something called cold call. It's technique number 22 in the book, I think. And it's, well, remember when I was saying these techniques are really simple at their core. So all a cold call is, it's you ask a question. So first you get in, you introduce, you let them know this is a session for cold calling. That's one popular way what they were just doing. So everybody actually stood up, put their hands behind their backs, I think, in that example. And that was actually the sign that the students know. The teacher says, stand up and put your hands behind your backs. They know, oh, we're going to go do some cold calling. And so they stand up, right, which is really nice to get out of your seats in the middle of a math lesson. They stand up, put their hands behind their backs. And all it is what we do naturally all the time. We ask questions, but you ask the question first, and then you say the student's name. So a lot of times we'll say, hey, Elise, can you tell me what are the 3 VAC learning styles, right? And as soon as I say, hey, Elise, what do you all do? And so
Turn your brain off.
yeah, you turn your brain off and you relax. Relaxing is good, but what's better? It's getting everyone mentally engaged, everyone thinking of the answer. So what I just did is instead of one person thinking about the answer, I have 15 brains all online in this room thinking about the answer. And it's as simple as saying the name after the question. Super cool. So you can do a whole cold call session, and that just becomes part of the culture of your room. And you want to introduce that. There's actually the next video in this playlist shows how one teacher rolls it out on that first day or first week of class. So what you do is you build it into the culture and the values of your classroom to where it doesn't become the shaming thing, which in his style is a little bit abrasive. This was potentially in an inner city classroom. A lot of these schools, they use these techniques to the advantage. They'll take inner city kids that are behind the rest of the nation, and they put them in a really good school with really good, well-trained teachers that have great techniques. And next thing you know, those inner kids that were behind are passing all of their, private school counterparts. And it's just little things like that, the way that the teachers are managing their classrooms and getting their students to engage with the content. So pretty cool stuff. It's all simple at its core. And so what we're going to do is we're just going to perform it. So I'm going to give you guys 10 minutes. We're going to do some student presentations. I'm going to allocate some of these presentations to you guys. You have 10 minutes to prepare, and then I'll give you just 3 minutes each just to kind of present your technique to the rest of the class. And I gave you 3 different ideas here. So you could draw an example of maybe what it would look like and present that to the class. You can perform it as a skit. So you guys, in your group, one of you pretend to be the teacher, the other few of you pretend to be the students, and you guys just kind of act it out in front of us, and we'll just watch what it might look like. Or you can actually model and actually really do an activity with all of us. So you guys be like the teachers, or one of you at least be like the teachers, and the rest of us will be the students. Does that make sense? So I'm going to give you guys 10 minutes. Let's just allocate it like this. So this table over here, we'll let you guys do these 2, so you divide it up amongst you, okay? So maybe 3 of you take one, 2 of you take the other. Middle table, you can have the next 2. And this table, you have the last 2. Here's one other little thing with the do. When you guys actually go do it, before you either draw it, perform it, or model it, I want you guys to just tell us what was the name of your technique and just kind of explain it to us. Or actually, let's do this. This is actually really fun. Let's not explain it. Take a cold call. Let's not explain it first. I actually want you guys just to model it, just draw it, perform it, or model it, and then maybe we'll reflect on it. But be prepared to actually explain to us what that technique is about. Okay? It'll be fun. I'll lead you through that. Go ahead and prepare. We have 10 minutes.
Find number 19.
Okay, it's page 1.
Are we not explaining?
How do you know that?
So we are after.
Oh, page 131.
So you guys have long sections, but you don't need to read everything in the statement, but also look at like the gray boxes
Oh,
or the
sorry.
dialogue.
So
They
sorry.
have prepared dialogue. I figure out which ones I believe. So you guys can actually just perform the dialogue.
126. How did you know that?
So if you're saying it's too long, you can or look at the gray boxes and examples. So if you guys have long sections at all, you don't have to read digest everything right now. Just kind of skim it if that's easier. And look for examples that they give you. You just be able to kind of model it. Questions. This is learning about important for differentiating.
Basically, before they use last name, real answer. No more don't my list. That's a pretty school reviewing information class and your fit or services experience in Australia what the new times needed. With briefly and passively I feel fairly letters that I don't know hers, breadth and toxicity, differences and slowly to spread of the students also commonly follow. So when a mom use no opt out in this situation, you would turn to another student. Stand at the door, ask one question, assuming you correctly and you think in the rest of the teacher are the now you tell me Charlie. What's the reason Charlie has just found the government stopping for a time consuming and possibly infected lunch is to do the work anyway in your class. So that's what I don't get is how to do it with
If anybody has a question, let me know. Just raise your hand, okay? Or call me over.
I can be the teacher if you want, and then we can just do that. I can be the teacher.
Okay, so once you have things more and more.
Oh, you asked the question.
So do this, and you can just to do your So let's say you're doing a math problem.
Yeah, I can be the
solve
teacher.
it.
You guys line up to go
Do math problems.
So I still those things like presenting.
So like you're on your own, when they can glad you guys learned about cooking today. So for example, like a word problem.
And something like that. I'll just come up with random questions and then teach you before you get that word. That's your
I know, so that's amazing.
Wait.
So it's like when you ask them what color some people don't
waiting for like a better answer or someone that's thought about it. That's also for answering.
I'm trying to think. Or
yeah, we just need one person to say one. Yeah, so we just need one person to say Andy, do you want us only to use one example? If it's quick, we do two. Okay. Let's do one where four? Do you want to do four? Yeah. What's the other one?
3 more minutes to prepare.
Or is that the whole class?
Let's do that.
What I'm saying, it was,
Second.
much for
Yeah, they're gonna be minutes. And you as one student and you as a class. So just when we say on a count of 2, class tells me what the subject is, sentences 1, 2, and then you all say what that is. But in the second example, we will say, when I'm asking for, when I ask for this event, and you will say, you're asking for who or what the sentence is about. And then that's all. You can write that down.
Well, definitely.
You're asking for who or what the sentence is about. So first one will say class, and you just have to say mother.
forget where I learned that
You
word.
pass it out.
You're so smart that
And then the other one, and then just do your best. And then in the second one, we'll just call on who was a competitor, or when we say, yeah, they're 3 minutes, we can tell them.
Well, yeah, I guess it's talking about how like you break this one.
If you go to page, like
So, do we need
I say we just,
so basically,
I don't know.
So basically, you don't have to
do the documentation, we'll just,
No matter what,
So,
they're gonna be.
So do you want to explain that?
Yeah.
Do you think what we ask, what's the subject? Well, the other thing is that we're not happy, so just talk.
Oh, yeah.
And then you can do
We're basically putting on 2 as well, right?
That's what I'm saying. And then there was not.
We have less than a minute.
So how did we do?
the specific thing is like,
What's the subject?
you could talk a little just like asking, you're asking who and how different it is.
Yeah. 1, 2, mother. Yeah. What is it?
Oh, then they answer, sorry. When she says what is it, you say mother.
Alright. So, we're just gonna do this 3 minutes. So I'll go ahead and set the timer, not because it needs to be that strict, but just to keep us time boxing our things, something that you'll read about in the book. Just to keep us on track and to create a culture that values time, which is an American thing. Great in America, not great everywhere else. But here's the thing, let's think about Cambodia. You would not imagine what it's like to sit down with somebody in Cambodia who's gone through school and even gone to university in Cambodia, but they cannot get a job in another country because they don't have the accredited, they don't have the language skills to get to go visit like an American or another Western university, or go to Australia or Korea or Singapore and get a degree that's actually accredited to where they can actually live and work somewhere else. So that culture, that kind of more Western, if they wanted to come to America and come take a university, course and get a university degree in America, is a different culture than what they are maybe familiar with, right? And it's a culture that values this. So if we're going to prepare them to actually go to university someplace outside of their culture, maybe we should actually add a little bit of that value. It's kind of up to you. We've talked about culture a lot and how are we sensitive, but also how do we help people grow in the way that they need to grow. So there are situations where, even though this is totally foreign, it can still be a good thing. So anyways, I'll give you guys 3 minutes. You don't have to take all 3 minutes, but here's what, let's do this. Let's go ahead and present it. And then let's let the rest of us try and guess what is your technique all about. And then you guys can help explain it if we can't quite figure it out, okay? So how about let's start with number 1, no opt-out.
James, can you tell me what the subject of the sentence, "My mother was not happy," is?
Happy.
On the count of 2, class, tell me what the subject of the sentence is. 1, 2.
Mother.
What is it?
Mother.
James, what's the subject?
Mother.
Good, James. Example 2. What is the subject of the sentence, James?
Happy.
Who can tell James what I'm asking for when I ask for the subject?
You're asking for who or what the sentence is about.
Yes, I'm asking for who or what the sentence is about. James, what's the subject?
Mother.
Good, James. The subject is mother.
All right, so what was that technique about?
I thought she was picking at me.
Public shaming, maybe?
You know, she really liked it a lot, I don't know.
Okay, there's an element to that, right? You have to be careful. What else could it be about, though?
Using other students to help teach each other.
Yes, that's part of it. That is a big part of it. There's another element.
Encouragement?
Encouragement. So they're encouraging James by, or the teacher's encouraging
She
James.
encouraged him when he gives her encouragement.
Make sure he knows the right answer and knows it.
What was it on?
Like making sure he has the right answer and knows why.
Okay,
Like it's not an option to be wrong.
right. Which connects to some other techniques potentially that we're going to talk about. Deborah, you
It
had
was like
something.
repetition as well, because he didn't get it, she kept reading it,
Right.
and really instilling that, no, it's not the right answer, but I'm not gonna clap you in the head,
Right.
you know, and getting his fellow students, or her fellow students.
That's great. Yeah.
So she didn't correct him and give him the right answer, she let him figure it out on his own.
Yeah, that's actually really good too. And with the help of the students. That's right. Well, do you guys have anything else to kind of add?
Yeah. So I think that's something that's really cool about the no opt-out is basically, when you read it inside the book, it's basically a lot of times inside of a classroom setting, it's easy for a student to get away with not answering the question by, you know, assuming that eventually the teacher will be like, okay, you obviously don't know, like, let's move on, you know? And it's a cool technique that instead of the teacher taking time to like lecture on it or something, just addressing it with the class, the class gives the answer, and taking it like a step further. So obviously after the class answers that the subject is mother, James knows what it is, and so that can be enough, but instead the teacher insists that like James answers. And so no matter what, the student that's being asked the question is going, in the end, is going to answer it, regardless of like whether he was given the answer or not.
Right.
Does that make sense?
Yeah. So it's not abandoning a student, letting him kind of sink.
Yeah.
It's actually championing him and believing in him and helping him actually get to that right answer. That's a really cool Christ-like value too, kingdom value. Could this be done in a totally insensitive, shaming sort of way?
Yeah.
When you first read it, you're like,
Yeah, you're like rude.
Yeah, poor James. Yeah, but if we create a culture that values even the mistakes that we make and that we are pursuing excellence no matter what, and we're not going to let each other, we're going to help each other and not let anyone fail, then yeah, you can totally make this work, even in a culture where that's maybe a little unfamiliar.
And I think if your students understand like the exercise and the way that they're like, oh, like it's okay, like, you know, I'm gonna be helped out, and even though I'm gonna have to like answer the question, he's not gonna make me do it on my own or whatever, then they know that it's less like intimidating and doesn't seem as harsh. You know, maybe like explain your intention, your heart behind it.
Yeah, that's really good. Actually, that's key for a lot of the things. If we can explain the reason behind it, then we make it more meaningful. And meaningfulness is actually a real big key. That's the point. So, Move on to number 2. Right is right.
We're going to do a couple of things with volume today. Then we're going to practice volume and then surface area. Can someone give me a definition for volume to get us started? Mark?
Volume is length times width times height.
You're telling me how we're going to solve for volume. If you say length times width times height, you're giving me a calculation. What I want to know, and you probably know this too, Mark, is that volume is a perfect example of an answer to my, sorry, don't read that part. What volume is. What is that amount? Yuritsa?
Volume is the amount of square cubes that takes up something.
Okay. Don't laugh at us. It's funny. Just kidding. Okay, but I want to refine what you said. The amount of cubes. What should we say? What's the technical definition instead of just cubes? What were you going to say, Wes?
The amount of cubic inches that a regular prism or a 3-dimensional figure takes up.
Right, any 3-dimensional figure. But I don't want to just say cubic inches because it's not necessarily inches. It could be feet, it could be centimeters, it could be yards.
Cubic units.
Okay, so the amount of cubic units that an object takes up. And Dante, I know you know the other word. What's the other word for takes up?
Occupies.
Yes, occupies. Volume is the amount of cubic units that an object occupies. Boom. We're done.
Alright, so what do we think that technique was all about?
I feel like Risha kept saying, I know you know this. And then she was using kind of directive thoughts to help them almost pull the information out that was inside of them. Yeah, it's kind of like what they're saying is related to, but it's not the question she's asking. Like it is like related to the subject and what they're talking about, and what they're saying is correct when they talk about a certain thing, but that's not the question she was asking. So it's like what you're saying is right, but that's not what I was asking.
She called on multiple students because she wouldn't just let that slide. Yes, it was right, but it wasn't the whole answer. And so she kind of championed them to get the perfect answer, not just half of it. Like she wanted them to fully understand.
It's really good. Do you guys have anything else?
I was gonna say like this. In here it says if you're a right and bright teacher, when a student answers the right question, but it's not to the question you asked, the answer is wrong, even though it's still considered right. But she asked what volume is, and the student didn't give a correct calculation how to find volume, but the answer was wrong because that's not what she asked.
That's great. That's a really good point. There's another technique, we're not looking at it today, but it's in there as well. It's called 100%, and it's basically the idea that when someone gives you only 75% of the answer, and it was all good, but they didn't give you the entire answer, still saying the same kind of thing. I love the way that you said it, Maddie, that it's wrong. And so it's just holding this high standard, saying, nope, I'm actually going to keep asking you until I get what I want out of you, because I think that's what you need. It's kind of a neat little thing. I like it a lot. Let's move on. That was a great job, Christine. Number 3, stretch it.
Class, who can use the word stride in a sentence?
I stride down the street.
Can you add some more detail to show about what stride means?
I stride down the street to buy some candy at the store.
Can you add an adjective to modify the word street?
I stride down the wide street to buy some candy at the store.
Good. Now can you add a compound subject to your sentence?
My brother and I stride down the wide street to buy some candy at the store.
And can you put it in the past tense?
My brother and I strode down the wide street to buy some candy at the store.
Those are very challenging questions. Good job.
So much enthusiasm on both of your parts. That was really really memorable for me. That was good. Okay, what was stretch it about? What was stretch it about? That was actually really low. That was good.
She took the original sentence and had him keep adding, and stretching the sentence out, but not saying, do this, and this, and then give it to me, but give me this, and he did it, and give me this, and then he did it.
It's good. What's another word that we use that means drawing out? We talked about it a few days, about a week ago.
Oh, I know.
Rhymes with illicit. Illicit. Yeah, drawing it out. That's a really question. What else? There's more to this one.
I think that it's a good way to gauge, like, where you're, it's almost like a comprehension thing too. It's a good way to gauge, like, how much your student, like, may know. And I think that it's a good, you can do that specific method, and then at the end, at the part where maybe, like, if you couldn't finish, if she, like, asked a question that you got stumped on, you can, like, incorporate a different technique or whatever, you know? And so.
Here's a cool technique for teaching difficult content, because she takes it step by step. Rather than, can you give me a sentence with a subject, compound, something, past tense, just adding all in at once.
Yeah.
And it kind of brings him through it step by step as well.
Yeah.
So that if he got stuck at a step, he's already done a good job, and she can affirm him in that.
I would praise probably after each sentence was said, praising us very good, but probably give me more, I've always stretched it further, but praise him along the way so he feels like, yes, he accomplished it, not like, okay, it keeps coming,
Yeah, I like that too. So is there something that we're missing to it, or would you guys like to add anything?
I mean, I think the big thing of it is just kind of avoiding the checklist mentality of like, oh, they used the word correctly, you're trying to understand their thought process and how they got there. It's also useful for, if you have a class of different skill level, you can just ask the higher skilled students more questions without making other people feel excluded. And you can even kind of use the questions to redirect the students to better understand maybe a quicker way of doing something than what they did themselves. So.
Yeah, that's good. So what do these three techniques have in common? The first three that we just saw.
They sort of demand excellence.
They demand excellence. They don't give you the option to be wrong. Yeah.
The teacher is directing it, and it includes all the students at once.
Yeah. That's good. Yeah, it brings in more people than just that student. I would say stretch it can be just the teacher singling out one person, and in a sense, because with stretch it, it's basically it's rewarding that right answer with more. So a lot of times when you do stretch it, it might just focus on that one student. But yeah, like no opt out. That one student got it wrong, and let's bring in more people. It's good. Yeah. It's interesting. Anything else?
I think it challenges the students, so it's not just like, yeah, you got it right, good job, but hey, let's take it to the next.
Yeah.
So it makes that student kind of like, ooh,
Yeah.
oh, learn it's like the next one.
That's good. Go ahead and popcorn any more ideas. Just save time. What do you guys think?
I think that it kind of like engages their mind, so it's not just like you telling them something, and so they actually have to think and like almost figure out a process of how they should think through it.
Yeah. That's good.
I didn't know. I thought I had more questions because in the example they gave, the student did really well. But what if the student was unable to like do the compound sentence?
Yes. You mean you mean the next step?
Yeah.
So basically, I think if the value that we see here is growing and being challenged and stuff, then that would be okay. And you could actually then transition right from a stretch it into an opt out, potentially. You say, oh, I stumped you finally. Can anybody else now help, right? Okay. So
Did you do like from stretch it to right is right too, and
Yeah.
involve other students to
Yeah.
get it better?
totally. This is what I'm talking about, that you have tools in your tool belt where you can flip between these. And there's some definite overlap in these, and there's real overlap in just the value of what are we trying to accomplish here. But you can, like, when you get really familiar with with kind of using these things, you'll, as soon as somebody makes that mistake, you're gonna think, no, that wasn't right enough, and I'm not gonna let him down. And if he gets it right, I know that actually my response isn't just to move on and go to my next thing, but actually I'm gonna reward right answers. That's what stretching is kind of about too. I'm gonna reward it with more questions and more challenges, and I'm gonna say keep going, which is what we're saying on all these areas. So interesting stuff, right? That's just the first 3 in the book. Let's just do a couple more random later on, so that I really like. Let's go move on to number 19, at bats.
Sorry.
It's
We had
okay.
2 different ideas and then the timer went off and we didn't decide which one we were going with.
It's okay.
How about that?
There's no opting out here, so we'll just.
You have to go.
Did I see that in a shaming way? I might have. Yeah, you're American. You can take it.
I mean, we have hard.
You smiled when you did it.
I like it.
Yeah.
Alright, can everyone see us? Or do you want us to come and check?
Hey, what's your name?
My name is Becca.
Hi, Josh.
Hi, nice to meet you.
So how long have you been running?
I've been running for 5.5 years.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Sweet. So, like, how did you get so good? Did you just get to be such a good runner? I've seen you run off track like hours.
No, it was a lot and lots and lots and lots of steps. So when I first joined track as an 8th grader, I took earlier in a mile. I came in last in my first race ever. Ran a 7:30 mile, came in last. I know I'm going to school. And then I just had this desire to keep practicing and practicing and practicing, and just like work as hard as I could, even outside of our practices. And kind of what got me there was a lot of hard work, a lot of practicing, lots and lots of strides, lots of getting tripped and getting back up. And then that's kind of what got me from 8th grader to junior year. I was actually all conference and could run a 5:20 mile. So it was just kind of like a lot of, the thing about running is you acquire endurance as you go. So in the beginning, one thing that's really cool about running is a lot of people don't think that they're runners, and I definitely wasn't when I started. But it doesn't take a lot of talent, it more takes a lot of like continuous practicing and getting out there, running. I've ran thousands of miles in my life, so lots of times.
This is really good. I love, so this did take place, I mean, it could have been a conversation in the classroom, but I feel like what you guys, correct me if I'm wrong, I feel like you guys just acted out the value behind
Yes,
the
we did.
technique, right?
That was
So
kind
let's,
of did.
I like that. This is really cool. So we can use this. How would that value, what are they saying is this kind of value or characteristic of classroom management potentially that they're kind of hinting at? And how would you apply that to a classroom? Let's start with the value. What is the value to what we were talking about?
Encouragement?
Encouragement?
Are you from getting from year to year with practice?
Here to here from practices is really close. There's more of them.
I think while she was talking, he asked her questions, he was stretching also, so he was also like a runner, so he related to her in a way while he was continually asking her. But it was also her, he was saying, I hope I can be there one day. So even though he was asking the questions, he still took what she said as an encouragement for himself.
That's really neat. I don't even know if that's even in the book, but I like that a lot. That's totally cool. No, I'm saying you are, you're really on. Yeah, that is really cool. We're missing the part though.
Yeah, one of the key phrases I used was lots and lots of strides, lots and lots of steps, lots and lots of miles.
Yeah.
So like, what do you think of when I say those phrases?
You run a lot.
Practice,
Practice, repetition, like repeating.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I actually can't remember if it's in this book or if it's in a talk, but one of the things that I think it's Doug Lemov or whatever his name is that wrote the book, that he uses an example of professional baseball players. And so the difference between a professional baseball player and you and me is not that he has great talent or has great strength. That's not the reason why he hits a home run at will. It's that he's had more at-bats than you and I, that he sat at that plate and had pitches thrown at him, and he just swung and swung and swung and practiced and practiced and practiced. So it says the value is not that you have to have a special talent. So you don't have to have a special talent at language. You don't have to have amazing like tongue and lip muscles necessarily. That we can all get better, we can all improve, we can all grow, we can all be challenged and grow. But the trick is we have to have more at-bats, we have to have more practice. So if we have to have more practice, what does that mean for us teachers? Can we design lessons where students can practice in order to get from here to here, in order to grow? How do we do that?
Homework.
I think also doing activities where they have to repeat things in different styles and forms.
Yeah.
So like with math, you have multiple problems to
Yeah.
solve X. And you make sure they know how to do it as a group, and then you move it. Like the key word they use is make sure they can do it until they get it on their own. So go until they do it on their own.
That's
Just
great.
have different repetitions and different styles and forms.
That's really
And
good.
then another thing, like relating that to running, I haven't, like we would always do, like as distance runners, we did different types of workouts. So we'd actually do faster paced, shorter workouts like around the track, or we would go on like recovery runs. So there's definitely a lot of different ways to like approach it, but they're all important. So like to practice in different ways.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I love that. We could keep talking about this one. I actually really want to keep talking, but I also want to move on for the next two ones. That was cool. I like that, the way that you guys did a skit.
Yeah.
That was awesome.
I think
So, second to last one is number 20, exit tickets.
All right. Class, thank you so much for coming today. Before you leave, though, I have a couple of questions, and I also have some little prizes. So if you want to come over by the door, today we were learning about Easter, and specifically, we talked about some of the cultural traditions, some of the treats. So, come on over here. And before you leave, I need you to tell me either an Easter tradition, we separated them into cultural or religious. So, and then you can choose a candy and you may leave.
Okay, a religious one would be going to church on Sunday.
Celebrating at church, perfect. You may take a prize. You really can.
Really?
Alright, thank you so much. And Anna.
Cultural, Easter eggs. Doing an Easter egg hunt with kids.
Perfect. You may select a
Alright.
treat. Thank you so much. We'll see you again. Gary, do you remember something about Easter that we learned today? I'm sure you do.
My family always slaughtered the Easter pig before we got it.
Oh, that's really different.
Yes, it was. It was great.
All right, thank you so much. Deborah.
Jesus died on the cross for me.
Wow, that is excellent. All right, well, please select a treat. All right, thank you, class. We'll see you next week.
All right. That was an excellent example of exit tickets. So what is exit tickets all about? Positive reinforcement, partly about positive reinforcement, not always about chocolate. That's a special teacher or a special day in class, maybe.
Seeing what they learned, like a review.
A review, seeing what they learned.
It's also helpful for the teacher because if every student gets the answer wrong before they leave, the teacher knows we have to go over this again.
Bingo. Yeah. So can you guys go ahead and just expound a little bit? Do you have anything else to add?
I would, as a teacher, I think I would want to do that if I had a few minutes left. Like at the door, if you're kind of shaky, it's like, well, I wasn't paying attention, I was doodling, and it's like, oh my gosh, the question came, you might hold up everybody, but at least at the end of class, you know, so if someone did get something wrong, at least you can correct it there so they're not learning the wrong thing as they leave the door. So at least, I mean, like in the last 5 minutes of closing time, you know, when the bells are about to ring in 5 minutes, just quickly go over what we learned, you know.
That's really good. I really wish she did stretches on your end. So want to learn more.
Later on, after lunch.
Yeah, okay.
I want to get out of here.
Everybody's together.
And your family really do that?
Sorry. But I mean, another thing that came up was you can use that when they come back the next day as a do it now activity
Yep.
and see if they still have it, like over
Really
the
good.
weekend or something, just saying, hey, did
Yep.
they really get it or was it just like parroting it?
Yeah, the X ticket's exactly, it's a lot like a do now activity, but at the end, you can actually, some teachers will do it as a slip of paper. So you create a little slip of paper and all the students just sit there and fill that out, and then they hand it to you on the way out the door. So you either, they just hand it to you and just turn it in and leave, and you take that feedback and you use it to inform the next lesson, and you know kind of where they're at. Or they don't get to go until they come back with the right answer, because right is right. And we're not gonna let you opt out. So now think about that. Think about, I'm not gonna let you leave. Let's forget about this, the end of the day. What if it's in the middle of the day or even in the middle of the lesson, if this is what if this is our do now? What if this is a activity and we still have more activities planned in my lesson? And you don't get to leave until you get it right. One way that you can use exit tickets in your lesson, really cool when you have multiple levels in the same room. Let's say, so we are here, here's the whiteboard, and we're doing an activity right now, but I have another activity planned in the classroom. I can do a quick little exit ticket however I want. You know, slip of paper, it could just be a verbal thing, so I want you to come up and tell me, or I want you just to shout it out, and if you get it right, then you can leave. But you don't get to go to the next activity until you get it right, and this is a way to kind of, you can do it sensitively, you can do it carefully to figure out who's ready to go on to this next activity. If we have multiple levels of learners in the same classroom, I'm going to have beginners and elementary students, lower level students, may not be able to pass it, and I can actually get real data potentially about if maybe it's writing a sentence. I can see right where they're at in their language levels, and the rest of the students get to go on to a higher level activity, all my intermediate and advanced and that kind of thing. So it's actually a clever way to kind of divide my classroom up, and I keep working with these people, and I just prepare some other activities, or I have another teacher kind of help run another activity. So it's a really clever way to kind of just quickly figure out where everyone's at, get real data, and move on. Kind of a neat thing. And yeah, you can do it actually exactly how you did it as well, on the way out the door at the end of the day too. So it's kind of you can really do a lot of things with that. This is our last one, and then we're just going to pack up and go. I'll make sure there may be an announcement or two, but the last one is number 25, wait time.
Alright guys, welcome to our team meeting. How are you doing? Good. Alright, so we're just going to talk a little bit about outreach, okay? So when we go, you guys, there might not be water. Okay, so don't freak out. We're gonna just think about this. So let's think, what would we do? How would we prepare for that? Alright, thank you guys. That was a good meeting. See you tomorrow.
Bye.
Bye.
Take two. Oh, wait a minute, don't take two. You know, I like when I would speak and now everybody was talking and I really didn't get a chance.
How can I help you get a chance to speak?
Maybe everybody takes a turn.
Okay.
Maybe wait a little bit longer. So
I
that
didn't feel like we had time to think about
give
it.
a late time.
Yeah. Sorry about that. Thank you. Hey, welcome back to team meeting. How you doing? Good. Okay, so we have a different challenge. There might not be any heat. Okay? Yeah, so just take a minute to think about that. You know, what it would mean for us to understand how to prepare. No, we need to just take a minute here to think before you answer. 2 minutes, 5 minutes to pass. Alright, are you guys, you ready to share your answers?
Yeah, I jotted some things down.
Oh, good, okay.
We could each bring an extra blanket.
Oh, that's
great. Really good. I love that you guys showed us what happens if I don't do wait time.
Yeah.
That was really clear. What was wait time about? What are some values? Ideas behind it?
Take turns when you speak.
Take turns when you speak. Okay, there's more to it too.
Taking time to think about the problem and the solutions.
Right. Allow time to let it breathe and let people think. Bree, did you have more?
That was bingo.
Bingo. Yeah.
It gives the students who think slower or process slower time to speak. And so if everyone has 2 minutes to wait and think, then it's like everyone has the same time to think, and so the slower students can answer.
That's right. Think about if we have multiple levels in our classroom, just kind of like yesterday. That advanced student, do you want that advanced student answering all the questions right away?
Or the verbal processing.
Or the verbal process here? Yeah. Anything else? You guys want to add more?
In a classroom situation, when you say, what color balloon is on the door, everybody can look and see it, but some people are very reticent to give that answer. So if you say, raise your hands if you know what color, or pick a color on the door. And like 2 people, the advanced learners, go right away, and you want to go to them, but when you think about it, you've gone to them in 10 questions. And 2 of your learners, like Bella said, that it's a little challenge to figure out, say, I see 2 hands. How about we wait for 5 hands? Those slower thinkers are like, she's asking for 5, and there's 2, and I could dare to raise my hand.
That's really cool. I like that.
Another thought is not just, that's a big part of it, is the slower thinkers, giving them time to process. But the second one is it increases how correct the students are going to answer.
Yeah, that's true.
Because if they just blurt out something, they haven't really thought through their answer.
Right, it's like that 100% thing again, where maybe actually, because I wanted to write out my answer right away, I only got 75%.
And then when you give them that time to answer correctly, you're using, the peer, you're using your peers to teach each other as well.
That's great, yeah. So this is another example of something that's so simple, like the cold call where I ask the question first, and then I say a name. This is just asking the question, but not demanding the answer right away. It's as simple as that. And there's lots of ways. I love the idea of the hand raising, or you can count down. Some teachers will just say, they'll ask the question and they'll count down 10, 9, 8, and they're like, oh, they need more time. 7, whatever. So there's different ways to manage it. But yeah, it's a very simple idea. It's a powerful little tool to put in your tool belt. Some of you guys laugh at this. Any announcements?
We need to pack up for SBS.
Yeah.
Andy has this really cool thing that he did in Cambodia, and it worked well there.
I am not prepared.
So,
We need to do it Monday. How are we doing Monday?
And do we also have an assignment list for
Monday? Oh, we're going to talk about crossword report, but we'll do that.
yeah, we'll do that later. But just make sure you look at your course book or workbook for further reading.
There's no learning journal. The learning journals are every 2 weeks, right?
Yeah.
Right.
So it's just a reading assignment for Monday.
And what about the learning
today, right? So we're not going to hear
We're
about
not doing that till next week, right?
Oh,
Oh, and the 15-minute activity. So you'll see that our 15-minute warm-up activities do 4:18. So we've already done our TPR lessons. Just remember to read Seeking Refuge, Chapter 3. Next week, begin it, at least. And then the course book. So look in your workbook for the course book readings over the weekend.
Yeah. If you guys have more questions, you guys can always reach out to us.
baskets, take them, eat them?
Take them.
Hey, thank you so much.
It's not, don't hate us. It's not us. We're not that sentimental.
It's like, don't get the wrong idea.
Don't get the wrong idea. We need help with vacuuming real fast, and then we're just going to set up the tables. SBS likes kind of like the tables that are very straight
Against the wall.
against the wall, center aisle, and then like 3 chairs to each table. So we'll just do it real fast.
go.